Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 13 of our F1 Manager 24 Let's Play. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We've almost caught up IRL Formula 1. We've just got a couple of races to go and then we'll be back in line ready at Zandvoort. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live towards the end of last week from Silverstone, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. But today we have potentially what could be some quite big news. We've got some new regulation votes that need to be played in ready for next season. So it looks like regulation changes to help us continually improve the sport for the benefit of competitors and fans alike. Taking this into consideration, we're proposing new sporting regulations for the 2025 season. Powertrain car parts make up a significant cost for smaller teams, which can put them at a disadvantage. To that end, we propose reducing the limit of engines, ERS, and gearboxes that teams can use in a season. Please review the proposal in full and give it your response. So it doesn't look like gearboxes or ERS are actually going to be limited, but engines we're going to go down to 3 ready for next season. Now, that's going to put more of an emphasis on reliability, which so far for us, I guess this season hasn't been bad. So I think, yeah, we are going to vote and confirm that we do side with that rule change. Now, annoyingly, I've got to try and build a new underfloor on Liam Lawson's car. So, yeah, we're doing that behind the scenes as well. But I want to try and see if we can develop a new car part as well. See, yeah, there we go. That's going to take another 8 days to get sorted out. So are we going to design or do we want to research? I think we want to design a new part as well then. Now I believe, yeah, the only thing we haven't done an upgrade on yet is the rear wing. Sadly, haven't got enough money to do another rear wing upgrade at the moment. So we are going to attempt to do, I think, you know what, actually, we're going to research for next season. We're going to try and research some new parts ready for next season. You can see there are some minor technical changes that are coming in for, well, most areas of the car. They're front, rear wing, and underfloor, as well as suspension as well. So I think, yeah, we're going to start sacrificing this year's car. We're really going to try and put a focus on next year's car. I had forgot we had no CFD or wind tunnel hours, though, so that might be a little bit of a problem. So I guess we'll kind of ignore that then and try and head on towards the Hungaroring. Now, I'm intrigued to see what the new rule changes are going to be ready, you know, obviously because they are meant to be announced before the Hungarian Grand Prix weekend. And it looks like we've had a counter-offer as well from Enrico Cardile, so it's still not quite there. They've come back to us with a counter-offer instead, which you can find below. So he wants an extra $1.2 million and $390,000 to sign on with the team. Annoyingly, he's very good inside F1 Manager, so I think we're going to have to try and agree with that counter-offer and confirm that as well then. So there we go. Cardile he's going to cost us $1.4 million to sign immediately. Can I do next season? Would he accept that? Yeah, obviously it reduces the cost for us having to hire him immediately then. Of course, we haven't got to buy him out either from another contract, so we will send that proposal over, and hopefully Cardile is going to accept that as well. They see he's not particularly happy within the team at the moment. No one really is, which is a little bit awkward. And I think most of them, the problem is, what is the problem for most of them? Team principal he's not happy with. Personal situation he's also not happy with. Yuki's happy across the board. Jared Murphy's not happy with me. Neither is Matos or Carlo Cristofori. And Cardile as well is demoralised with me. So I'm not too sure why everybody hates me at the moment. I think we need to try and spend a little bit more money upgrading some facilities as well then. So can we do anything else to try and, you know, keep everyone happy? Yeah, we'll get a small boost there if I spend all of our pennies on a new team hub, or upgrade our team hub even, I should say. So we're going to do that. We're going to leave us with $36,000 in the back pocket. Have we got any news on the new regulations? Here we go. Let's wait and see, as John Christensen apparently has upped his rating as well. So, regulation vote, sporting changes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams, 7 teams voted for it. And weirdly, a lot of the other small teams voted against it. So, Not too sure why that works, but it does. We're getting new rules for next season. But yeah, let's head out then here to Hungary.
Welcome to the beautiful Three Springs Valley, here in Hungary. You're joining us in Budapest for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Budapest was formerly 3 cities, and today they're all coming together to kick off what we hope will be a thrilling weekend of racing.
Having a look then, it looks like we've got a lot of rain throughout the entirety of Friday and Saturday, but things are meant to clear up ready for Sunday afternoon's Grand Prix then, so I guess that's good news. Weirdly, of course, that doesn't actually work too badly for us here at a track like the Hungaroring, because of course it's so high downforce anyway, that I'm sure we can try and get a lot of the data we need. Obviously, it's a very traction-orientated circuit as well, so yeah, we're going to try and, steer both cars in that direction almost immediately here. Quickly as well, before I forget, I just want to say a massive thank you to everybody for the continued support on the channel. We are now less than 100 subs away from 3K, so if you are enjoying the content and you aren't already, please do make sure you get yourself subscribed to the channel as well. Then we're going to need slightly longer run plans with both drivers as well. I would have thought probably 18 laps, and we might try and go with 17 for Liam as well then, but yeah, let's try and get some good data. I don't really know whether this track is going to suit us. I guess Imola and Monaco really did. So I want to believe that, yeah, this circuit as well could be a better one for us here. But of course, yeah, we need to try and get as much data as we possibly can. As always, as early as we possibly can. And it looks like the rain is meant to hang around throughout like 2/3 of the session as well then. So, yeah, I guess that's not too much of a concern. It is meant to ramp up. But yeah, we should get dry running in before the end of free practice here. So let's just try and get as much lap data as we possibly can with both drivers then. Hopefully they're going to set some good times. Once again, looks like we've got quite a few juniors. Ollie Behrman's in. Weirdly, Perez and Verstappen are both in the Red Bull.
And there's been quite a crash.
He's been out there 3 minutes. He's been on the circuit for 3 minutes. And Lawson stacked it. I don't even know if we've got enough car parts for him for the rest of the weekend. He's not meant to be pushing. He's meant to be gathering data for the team and the car setup. What on earth is Liam Lawson's problem? I hate to say it. I hate to say it. I think coming after the summer break, I think he's gone. Honestly, some of you guys have said as well, you've had him on your team, and he's done absolutely terribly as well. He just is... honestly, it feels like the closest way I can describe it in this game is he's in a death spiral. He's just getting worse and worse and worse, and that's making him less and less confident, which is making him worse and worse and worse. I think that might be Liam Lawson's last chance in Formula 1, at least for us anyway. I think he is in real trouble. But anyway, I guess we've got to try and soldier on and get everything done there with Yuki Tsunoda in the other car. Annoyingly, yeah, that first lap by him wasn't even that bad either. So, yeah, it's a real shame for Liam. And like I said, yeah, he's going to be on the back foot throughout the rest of the weekend there. We can only really hope that we've set the car up pretty well for him immediately. Because, yeah, he's not going to be able to supply us with much feedback at all then. But Yuki's getting some good laps under his belt. Yeah, obviously, I'm hoping those 18-lap runs are going to be enough to get him through and obviously able to provide us with all of the feedback that we possibly need. But, yeah, I'll be honest, my mind is kind of on what do we do with Liam right now. Because, I mean, that is Sergio Perez-esque. That I'm pretty certain that did happen at the Hungaroring, didn't it, a few weeks ago? Perez binned it very early on in free practice as well. But, yeah, Yuki, there we go, he's happy. We'll try and bring him back in immediately then. He's going to do one more lap. And yeah, satisfaction great then with the car. So Yuki very happy with how things are looking early on. I mean, that's pretty good going. I think we'll take that very happily indeed. And we'll try and make a few other subtle tweaks. Just try and make sure the car isn't too oversteery still. What can we do to affect that? Tyre camber or toe, I guess. No, toe won't do anything. Guess if we go like that, then we'll just make some subtle little tweaks to that car, maybe a bit more front wing, and then we can obviously reduce the rear wing. Oh, sorry, yeah. There we go. That's pretty good. So we'll send him back out there again. Yeah, I mean, we've still got more than a half hour left of the session, so I think we might get to the point where we can send him out on dries pretty soon. Going to try and get him back out just ASAP again. Because like I said, I do, want to really try and fine-tune everything we got on this car. But I don't think he'll get another full run on the board. I think we'll have to be that he dives back into the pit lane again pretty soon. Maybe for a blast on either like the softs or the mediums towards the end of the session. As there we go. Rain has officially stopped. So Yuki just trying to get his last few moments on the board on the intermediate. And then, yeah, we will bring him back into the pit lane there. Just want to try and get one level of feedback from him, so at least we get a tiny bit more precision from it. Because obviously, there we go. Now we can do it. Now we can dive him back in. Obviously, if you manage to get one, then it will refine kind of like the bars ever so slightly more. So obviously, it means we can just obviously make a few little tweaks there. And now you can see as well, optimal on the straight line performance. We are just ever so slightly out on the cornering ability. So I guess we will try and tweak that a little bit. If we go like that, and then go like that. And maybe just go anti-roll bars as well. Just got to try and fine-tune everything to the best of our ability. So if we go like that. There we go. That's pretty bang on, I think. And I forgot to tell him that he's going on to a set of the dry compound tyres as well. So yeah, we are obviously going to see times improve. Alex Albon goes top of the board. Fred Vesti immediately goes 2 seconds clear. So yeah, we're going to start seeing drivers into the 1:19s. But yeah, let's just make sure that we get him on some dry compound tyres. We'll use a set of mediums. We've got a couple of sets of them. And yeah, Yuki Tsunoda, he's going to go back out onto the track then. I don't believe he's going to be able to provide us with full feedback again. But he is basically going to be out there right until the end of the session, as well as 8 seconds now off the pace. And we immediately see him rocket back up towards the front of the order there. I mean, he's a couple of tenths away still from the likes of Albon and co. As immediately he'll get the jump on them. So, yeah, I think we could be in the fight for points this weekend with Yuki. I think we're going to be there or thereabouts, against your Danny Ricks and, your Alex Albons. They seem to be like our 2 main rivals at this stage of the game. But, of course, yeah, as always, it's as much about if any of the top runners run into problems, though. That seems to be the other big thing for us still in this game. But, yeah, I'm going to see you guys over in qualifying.
Now it's time to see who'll come out on top as qualifying gets underway.
The Hungaroring's short circuit can get crowded during Q1 and Q2. Teams need to get their drivers out there and in the best position to set a fast lap or risk being caught out.
There, of course, we've got Nico Hulkenberg. How do you think he's faring heading into qualifying?
They weren't as quick as I expected them to be in practice. They'll want to land better lap times than that today to earn a solid position on the starting grid.
Here we go, folks. It's time to get started.
Well, here we are then, heading out ready for qualifying. And once again, that rain doesn't seem to be here just yet. But I think things are about to get very, very exciting as we head into this session. Can we get any information on what the track is doing? It doesn't look like we will. Yuki, I mean, look at that. That's one of the best scores I think we've ever had inside this game there. If we just try and tweak out a couple of little bits and pieces, then maybe we can get that even higher as well. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda very, very happy with how the car's looking. Lawson, he's, like I said, we've given the team a bit of a chance to try and do some more running with him. So hopefully he's going to be a little bit happier. But ultimately, yeah, just lacks that ultimate confidence in the car as well there. As we'll try and just fine-tune everything else that he could possibly need. But he's kind of done his own damage this weekend. So I think he is set to struggle a bit more than his teammate there. Let's head out into Q1. And immediately we're going to have to see what's going on with the weather. We'll quickly pause up. And there we go. Rain on the way in just 5 minutes. So I think we can try and get both cars out ASAP. And hopefully we might see ourselves immediately into Q2 then. Obviously we're right down the end of the pit lane. So this could be really, really good for us, of course. Especially if no one else really wants to come out onto the circuit. I guess the issue is, though, yeah, look at that. Every single car out on a lap. I guess the issue will be whether, obviously, Tsunoda gets a little bit caught up behind Lawson as well here as they're coming out the final corner then. Ready to start their first laps in anger. Like I said, I'm just hoping the rain starts falling as soon as possible. But I'm also hoping as well that we don't end up caught out behind the Williams. I think that is at the rear of the train as well. So let's hope that Liam doesn't get in the way too much of Yuki. I could obviously try and get him to do a double run, or obviously I just get Lawson out of the way as soon as possible. We did have enough parts for him to go back on the car. Some of them are old parts though, so yeah, Liam Lawson is on an older spec car now than Yuki once more. Of course, we've got the new massive upgrade that will hopefully be arriving after Belgium for the second half of the season, which will hopefully give us a little bit of a pickup as well there. But how are the times looking so far? 26.7 Sector 1 goes up against a 27.1 at the moment. There is, yep, someone else immediately is going to go quicker. 27.1 and a 27.4. So, yeah, I think Yuki is just definitely getting held up a little bit here on this lap. Tempted, obviously, yeah, to try and get them both back in ASAP. Maybe we could try and go for another run. But the rain is about to start falling there as through the final couple of corners we go. Which of our two drivers is going to go quicker? Liam Lawson up over the line. It's going to be a 1:16.5 for him. Yuki does a 1:16.7. I'm a little bit worried we sent him out the wrong way round there, as we'll start to see whether, obviously, I mean, Verstappen should hopefully go quicker than us. I mean, everyone's gone quicker than us. I think we've really balls this up. I think we might be out in Q1 again. As we'll try and get back round into the pit lane as soon as possible, and the rain has started. We might be safe. We might be safe. Look at that. Leclerc's way down the order. Sainz has struggled as well. I think we might just be safe here, unless that rain is meant to tail off again towards the end of the session. Let's just take a look. No, it's meant to continue rising. So, not everybody able to get enough laps in early enough. We will make it through, I think. And there we go, both of our cars making it through. The same can be said for Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, the two championship rivals at the front of the order. Not for Charles Leclerc, though. Ferrari, their first big mistake of the year, all the way down in P20 for him. Joined by both Kick Saubers, both Haas cars there, and the Alpine of Pierre Gasly. So Hulkenberg shouldn't be much of a threat this weekend, which I guess is good for us. Annoyingly, yeah, Ricciardo still looked very, very strong as well. But I reckon Yuki has got the pace to be near him here, as we'll make our way then back out ready for Q2. Let's see what the weather's going to be doing this time and how we want to try and manage the situation as well. Then it's definitely damp at the moment. But is that rain? That rain is going to taper off a bit later, so this might end up being one of those sessions again where you got to try and get both cars out as late as you can. But we might try and get them to do one lap early as a bit of practice. Made sure not to trip both drivers up around each other this time out, but it looks like, annoyingly, that everybody else, as soon as I've gone onto a run, has decided they're going to make their way out of the pit lane as well then. So let's see just how badly Tsunoda's going to get held up in traffic as one of the Williams there parking it down at the first corner. Yeah, there you go. That's that lap ruined, isn't it, immediately? I think we'll abandon that one. I mean, how stupid is that? Will Lawson be able to do anything more in the second car here? I mean, everybody now surely has been warned that there is another car heading out onto the circuit. But I guess the track is meant to get drier and drier as the session goes on. So, like I said, he's going to be one of those, you know, last car on a run is surely going to have a bit of an advantage here. All the times up to then are probably pretty much irrelevant. As are we going to see? There we go. First car gets out of the way quite nicely. Blue flags somewhat work inside this game. Ish. Only sometimes there, as through the S's will go. Throw it to the left, throw it to the right. Again and again through these corners. I mean, it's so difficult there, especially when you've still got cars weaving around up in front. Luckily, Williams will get out of the way. And there we go, another Williams. Is that 3 Williams? I don't know. I think that was a Merc, actually. It might have both been Mercs, to be fair. But in towards the final couple of corners, then Liam Lawson. How are the times looking so far? I mean, I've got no real reference point. 32.6, 30.3. Verstappen top of the board so far. 1.5 seconds clear of Lando Norris. That's been a really, really good lap time by the Dutchman. As through the final corner we're going to go, we're going to be nowhere near that. It's going to be a 28.4. We go 3.1 seconds slower. As Tsunoda does get a lap 16 seconds off the pace. The goal is to try and get the cars out as late as you possibly can here, ready for their final run, and I think we've left it maybe just slightly too late, as around the final corner, Yuki Tsunoda is about to go for another fly. Is he going to get onto a lap? Yes. Yes, he is, just. Lawson's out, annoyingly. I just completely mistimed it on the run, but somehow Tsunoda is going to start one last fly here, so hopefully he's going to be able to try and get the car into Q3. Albon is currently up in provisional P9 there, so this could be a really good run if we're able to get it on the board, but we need to see what times he's going to be doing up against his teammate and all the other drivers as well there, as through the first sector will go. He's going to do a 30.7. That is green. That is good. As you can still see times improving at the front of the order as well then. Verstappen still fastest. The gap has been cut down though. He's only 1/10 clear of his teammate Perez. As Logan Sargent goes up into P4. So there is pace on the circuit right now. And this could prove really, really beneficial for us there. As Albon still has got a lap to complete. So Ricciardo will not be into Q3 here. Ready for the Hungarian Grand Prix. So he's not been able to capitalise on Ferrari's woes. You can see Tsunoda 29-1 Sector 2. This is looking good at the moment, but I don't know if it's going to be good enough. Surely we're going to go about the same pace as those Williams. Surely we're going to get the car back into Q3 yet again, I believe, for the first time since Montreal, I want to say. Through the final couple of corners, Yuki Tsunoda, he's had no real representative on the board up to this point. There goes the time set by Verstappen. But we do make it through there, and we go quicker than Albon or Logan Sargent. Gutted for Lawson, because he could have made it as well. But ultimately, yeah, our better chance has made it. And that's really, really important. Lawson will start P16 on the grid. I don't think he'd have the pace anyway as we move into the race. But let's see what we can do in Q3. It's about Ocon as well. I kind of hadn't realised he'd made it into Q3 here. Of course, a winner around the Hungaroring in years gone by. But as Yuki Tsunoda then makes his way out for his one run here in Q3, the circuit dried up again, but is now starting to make a switch the other way slightly. I don't think it's going to have too big an effect, but it might be the difference here about getting ahead of Alex Albon. I'd love to line up P7 on the grid and potentially be within a shot to score some good points here, because like we said, we know Ferrari are going to really, really struggle to make much of an impact around this venue. Obviously, you know, it's going to be so difficult for them to try and carve their way back up through the order as we head into the Grand Prix. But are we going to see Tsunoda able to set a competent lap time as we've got yellow flags out? Someone else has got issues further back. I think that might have been Albon down at turn 1. So luckily that's not going to hold us up either. And we can still try and get on with our last-ditch run as clock almost striking down to 0. I might actually get Yuki to do 2 laps here just to keep trying to make sure that he's up to pace as well. So we're just going to kind of see how he gets on this first run, and then we're just going to try and keep going, see if he can improve there. 30.5, I believe. That was similar to what he did in Q1. As Albon will go quicker than George Russell as well, so that's been a really good lap time by the Thai driver. We're going to see 29.1 in Sector 2. Luckily, we're ahead of that Ferrari as well, so yeah, Carlos Sainz might still be able to fly the flag for Ferrari in this final session, as Verstappen now will immediately go top of the board. So times are still improving for absolutely everybody here. And like I said, we're going to try and get a double run done for Yuki. Russell will go back ahead of Alexander Albon. A little bit of a shame for the Williams there. Could have been quite a funny story at the end of the session. But a 23 only good enough to put us into P9 right now. We are hundredths away from Logan Sargent. So as we start our second flyer then, could we see any more time improve? We're 3.1 seconds off Verstappen, who, yeah, has been purple in every single session so far here in qualifying. There's a checkered flag now waving. I don't think anybody else is really trying to improve again there. Have we got enough fuel? We have got enough fuel. Engine's warm. We've got very little in the way of battery either, as we go 1/10 down in Sector 1. So we're not a million miles away, but the rain is just continuing to ramp up here. It might only be good enough for P9 for us at the end of the session here. We'll have to wait and see what the split 2 time is looking like. Maybe the tyres as well, just getting a little bit too worn out at this stage of qualifying as well there as we make our way through. 29.0, that is an improvement. We might still be within a shot to get between those Williams here right towards the end of qualifying. Is Tsunoda able to spring a surprise? He's got next to no battery left though, so it might be that we just drop back a little bit through the final couple of corners. We just need 0.5 to try and go quicker than Logan Sargent, and that could be massive for us as we head into the Grand Prix. Out of the final corner, up towards the line. Will it be enough? Tsunoda, he will stay P9. That's a bit of a shame, but let's get on with the Grand Prix.
There's a fantastic atmosphere here at the Hungaroring today as we prepare for 70 laps of thrilling F1 action.
The heart may be in Budapest, but the racing soul is right here. Decades of F1 history saturate every turn of the Hungaroring, including the 1989 Grand Prix, where Nigel Mansell bullied his way from a P12 start to an ultimate victory.
What on paper could be a low-speed circuit is turned flat out by modern Formula One cars. The Hungaroring's short lap means track position is essential in qualifying, and drivers will need to be careful of track limits throughout the race. Welcome to race day, and before we get down to it, last minute checks are being made.
Well, here we are then, ready down on the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix. Are we going to see any more changeable weather conditions, or are we going to have a completely dry Saturday afternoon? It looks like the sun is meant to shine throughout, and weirdly, the team reckon a 3-stop strategy is going to be the way to go. Is tyre wear that bad around this circuit? I guess so. They want to try and do the opposite with Lawson. To be honest, today, yeah, I just wanted to try and see the checkered flag, ideally, as much as anything else there. But yeah, lots of fuel going in both cars. I guess as well they want us to push quite aggressively with Yuki, but still not entirely sure. Yeah, 3-stop is going to be the way to go, but I guess we've got to try and go for it as well there, of course. As always, we're going to set him to full aggression, and as always with Liam Lawson, we're just going to hope he doesn't get clattered into on the opening lap, and try not to lose too many places as well off the start. Let's do this thing. It's time for the Hungarian Grand Prix.
The anticipation is really building here. The fans in attendance are absolutely buzzing with excitement. Yuki Tsunoda will be hoping things go his way today.
They've done well to secure a P9 start, and they'll be keen to convert that into some points.
And the time has come. Let's go racing. This is it, the Hungarian Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
Well, there we go then. Nice, clean, tidy getaway. Looks to be for absolutely everybody here, but we want to see whether Yuki can try and make up a couple of spots down towards someone there immediately. He's going to get past Logan Sargent on the way into that first corner, but Albon is the bigger threat today. I know Williams haven't scored as many points as us so far this season, as Sargent immediately is going to just drop back a bit more, but yeah, we need to try and see if we can get cooking against Alex Albon early on. Try and put him under some pressure. He is on the harder compounded tyre, and just wait and see whether he drops away from the runners further in front there. Looks like he and Sainz, two are the only runners on the hards right up towards the sharp end. So I'm actually quite impressed there that he's been able to hold on to track position on this opener as well then. But yeah, immediately we are going to try and tell Yuki that he's got to be aggressive. I want to see how badly George Russell drops away from the top runners as well early on this afternoon then. But yeah, already telling Yuki to get the hurry up, as Hamilton, of course, starting down in P13. He loves this track, but it is going to be interesting to see how well he's going to fare throughout the afternoon. Is immediately then trying to have a look for a run down the inside. Albon's going to defend it, so we'll try and go to the outside in towards the final couple of corners there. And look at that on lap 1. A brave manoeuvre by Tsunoda, but that's going to up his confidence just a little bit more. And immediately then up into P7 of the Grand Prix. The lofty heights of 7th place early on. If we could finish here today, I mean, I know we're a long way out still. If we could finish here, that would certainly be a turnout for the books as well. As let's just tone him back then a little bit. We'll get him to just try and actually look after the tyres somewhat here. But I'm hoping we can pull away from Alex Albon behind using a little bit more of that battery over the next couple of laps as well. Then, of course, both DRS zones here are connected to that final corner, if I'm not mistaken. So there's no opportunity to obviously try and get the switch back with the DRS or use it at the start of lap 2. But you can already see, yeah, dropping away from some of those cars a little bit further up. I want to see as well, actually, just what engine temperature you need to try and look after it around this circuit as well. Because at the moment, yeah, both cars looking very, very warm on their engines. Hopefully, yeah, we're going to be able to try and see Yuki just inch away slightly from Alex Albon here. The team wants to go quite aggressive in the early stages. You know, I think it is going to be quite critical if we can get that gap over Alex as well, nice and early on. Then maybe we're going to be in a bit of situation a bit later on in the day then. So, I mean, it's going to be at that final corner as well, or the deploy is going to be useful. But just how useful is it going to be then? We'll try and turn it back up through that final corner. And then really, yeah, once we get into Sector 2, may as well obviously just tone it back again, as hopefully we're going to be able to get the run out of the final turn, drain that battery just a little bit more. And of course we know just how quick that Williams is in a straight line as well. As here we go, Tsunoda trying to defend from Alex Albon back down towards turn 1. Are we going to see the tyre driver get all the way around the outside? He's going to try and hook it up, but he runs wide on the exit, and he's going to come back onto the road right in the way of Lance Stroll there. So that does work out beautifully for us. Hopefully now, again, we're going to try and just open up a little bit of a gap. But yeah, Albon, I think, is really, really pushing on those tyres in the early stages. So I think, yeah, he doesn't want to get kind of dragged back and kind of taken victim of by some of the other cars further behind us. There we go now. Tsunoda just opens up a little bit of breathing room there. Albon will lose the place to both of the Aston Martins. And that's kind of the biggest one for us. So, you know, I'm not convinced we're going to be able to keep Stroll back or anything like that over the course of the afternoon. But as long as we can be ahead of both those Williams cars, that is going to be really, really critical there. As Stroll, yep, will make the move on Tsunoda down at turn 1. I think this was a fairly textbook one for him there, as it's kind of still this first season. You know, we kind of have a rough idea of what we're really fighting for and what we don't. Season 2, I think, is going to be where things get really, really interesting. Obviously, you know, with performance changes and things like that. There is Alonso now trying to close in the gap as well. Annoyingly, Hamilton is straight up into P11. So, yeah, looks like they're all making big gains there, some of the faster cars. And you can see down the outside, exactly the same move that Yuki did to Alex Albon on lap 1 as well then. So is Hamilton applying pressure to Sargent? I don't think he's applying pressure. I think he's making the move happen. Leclerc as well has worked his way through. I mean, how on earth have they made up that many places so early on in the GP? It's so alarming to see for us. I think we've still got the pace over the Williams cars, but I mean, if Leclerc's able to get through pretty quick, then there's not really going to be a lot we can do against him. And it might well be that we end up still trying to fight for P11 here, when all is said and done then. Is Tsunoda trying to make his way through? Hamilton all over his gearbox still, as Magnussen already reporting mechanical fault. So, yeah, it looks like engine temperature, not really, I mean, I don't know how Lawson's struggling so badly with it. It's here we go. Hamilton having a look to the outside down at turn 1. And all the highs very, very early on immediately seem to just be coming crashing down a little bit for us here. As Leclerc, I think, is not going to be too far behind either in trying to make the move happen. And here we go then. Charles Leclerc 1 lap further on. Is he going to be able to make that move? I would have thought he is. He struggles a little bit to put the power down out of the final corner. But, yeah, I mean, you look at the tyre wear as well. Obviously, we've worked those tyres hard. Not as bad as some of the other cars. Now we've got yellows out. Who's had an error? I don't think anybody of much. No, Perez having a lock up down at turn 5. As Verstappen is just pulling away at the front.
We're going smoothly. Oh, and the car locks up. But that's just the risk you take. The later you leave it.
Yeah, just a little mistake there from Sergio early on. But Hungary can be quite an interesting race on this game as well. It can allow quite a lot of interesting things to happen as the afternoon goes on. But I think just at the moment, we're just in a little bit of a pace bubble here. And we've got to try and just enjoy that whilst we can as well. Keeping that gap to Sargent. Maybe just try and branch that a little bit more there if Ricciardo can't get by. And if we can open up like a good 10-15 second gap early on here, then maybe that could provide us with opportunity later on in the afternoon. As Sargent is going to be one of the first cars into the pit lane. I think if we can get these tyres to lap 20... and then take another set to about lap 40. We can then obviously take a set of hards to the end and cut out one of those pit stops towards the end of the afternoon. So I think that's what we're going to try and do here today. As Perez now drops to the back of the front runners. So I think he's pit already. We'll explain that one. I'm just already a little bit nervous about other drivers trying to go for undercuts here. As Russell now will dive into the pit lane as well. So yeah, might provide us with a little bit of slipstream as best as we can. But yeah, Tsunoda, I think we're going to call him in then the end of this lap. So we're going to dive in, fresh set of mediums going on to the car. Will he peel into the pit lane immediately? No, he won't. So he is going to do that one extra lap then. And hopefully that isn't going to cost us too badly in this race. We need to be out around sort of Ricciardo and Gasly. And are we going to be out still ahead of the pair of them there? Oh! Sorry? How does that work? How on earth does that work? I mean, Tsunoda's hung on to it. I'm not going to complain. But Ricciardo was inside him. And not just slightly. He was very, very deep inside him there. Down at the bottom of the hill. I mean, luckily for us, Gasly will hang on to the place as well. So as Ricciardo's trying to push on, he's not going to be able to do anything with it. As he can try and make the move happen now. And Tsunoda, again, is going to be on fresher, softer tyres than the Australian here. We're going to try and work up some temperature into them early on in the stint. We're also going to try and use some deploy just to make sure we build up a bit of breathing room once more. But yeah, I think, again, this is going to be one of those tricky races unless we see issues for the front runners. Not going to be a lot we can really do. There's already now a 4-second gap over Danny Rick. So, yeah, I think we're just trying to push on as best as we can. And, yeah, now we've got those tyres up to temperature again. We will just focus on looking after them here. Liam Lawson, what's he up to? He should be able to get those tyres to about lap 30. So, we might try and do double hard for him and just kind of see where he ends up come the end of the afternoon. Because he's making up a few spots here nice and early on in the day. As for Verstappen already, he's coming round to lap us here. So, not too sure how we're managing that. As, yeah, Lawson not too happy with everything that is going on within that car at the moment there. As Tsunoda will let the Dutchman by. So, yeah, we've got a 5-second gap over Ricciardo. But we're not really pulling away much either at the moment. So, I mean, I'll quite happily be in this bit of no man's land for us. But doesn't make a huge amount of difference later on in the day there. As we'll get Lawson to box in at the end of next lap. So, yeah, I think both drivers... I think Yuki's going to do medium, medium, hard. Liam is going to do hard, hard, medium. So, slightly different change of strategy between them. But at the moment, yeah, I mean, it's just Yuki Tsunoda doing a fantastic job keeping that gap away from those other cars a bit further behind. And now, of course, obviously, we can afford to burn a bit more fuel as well. Because obviously we're likely going to end up either 2, maybe even 3 laps down by the end of the afternoon. So... more mechanicals faults being reported by Magnussen, and he seems to be out then of the GP. So, first mechanical, and the engine, yeah, completely went pop on that Haas car. But you're already halfway into our second stint then. I mean, we're having to we're letting cars lap us that we were really battling with early on. As Logan Sargent, his afternoon seemingly getting a bit worse as well. What's happened to him? Just drops it there over the curb. Lucky to get off the racing line. But, I mean, if we could get a safety car, something like that, that could still be really, really useful here late on in the day. But doesn't look like it's going to happen at the moment, as we are 30 seconds behind Lewis Hamilton, but 10 seconds ahead of Daniel Ricciardo. So things are still looking good. We're going to try and just push on a little bit more on this second set of tyres. Like I said, I want to try and get him to about lap 40. But like I said as well, we just want to try and keep that gap up ahead of Ricciardo here, you know, in case we end up with some traffic or things like that, or just any kind of strategy towards the end of the afternoon. And let's not forget, he might try and go for a bit of an undercut on us as well. There we go, Ricciardo back into the pit lane again. So we are going to try and push on, take every last little bit out of these tyres towards the end of the stint. I tell you what, yeah, this second set has worked out really, really nicely for us here. So we'll just try and use everything we've possibly got on them. And we will get into the pit lane here pretty soon. So there we go. This lap seems as good as any to try and dive in onto that set of the hard compound tyres to get us through to the checkered flag. What's Ricciardo on? He's on mediums. So yeah, he's just doing the other way around to us. As Liam Lawson as well. I guess we'll try and get him to push on a little bit more. I've set his race target once again to 19th place here. Just hoping he can be at a couple of cars and obviously anybody that does retire there. It seems like a good little way of just picking up a little bit of cash with the second car there as well. As that gap to Ricciardo hasn't really come down too badly over the course of this stint so far. Can we get a nice, clean, tidy pit stop here? Let's just wait and see then as he makes his way down the pit lane. It's always quite funny when you've got 22 cars at the Hungaroring because it's very crammed in down the end of the lane there. As there we go, 2.7. Again, not one really to write home about. But we should still be comfortably out ahead of Ricciardo as well. So that's really good news then. And we should be looking pretty safe unless we get something crazy happen towards the end of the afternoon. We'll try and keep the engine a little bit cooler. We'll try and take everything to get those hard tyres up to scrub as well early on in the stint then. But I mean, yeah, there's not really a lot you can do. And even Lance Stroll on the Aston Martin seems to be able to lap you here. Admittedly, he's only running in P7. But yeah, it's just kind of obviously that thing of, you know, the AI in front are still so much quicker still inside this game. As Stroll now weirdly is losing ground. Ricciardo's pushing on really aggressively at this stage of the day. I don't think he's going to be able to get those mediums to the end of the afternoon, so I'm not going to worry too much if he does get to us. It looks like we could have a bit of a fight on our hands towards the end of the afternoon here. As Ricciardo desperate, I think, to try and just make a move happen. Like I said, we're kind of just focused on the long game. We're trying to get to the end as best as we can. So are we going to see Ricciardo again try to make the move back down towards turn 1? He is going to be gaining on us. he's going to look for it. Tsunoda, this is not really a battle we need to get too involved in. But I guess, we'll try and, demotivate Ricciardo as best as we can anyway. Holding him up just a little bit more here if the opportunity allows us. And there we go, just opening up once again a little bit of a gap over the Australian here. And surely he's going to be diving into the pit lane not too far from now. 50 seconds back from Fernando Alonso there, who's currently down in P10. As Verstappen, yeah, is going to put another lap on us as well towards the end of the day. But, I mean, Lawson's still running P18, so he's not doing too badly. Of course, we are going to have to get him to box before the end of the afternoon, because he has only used the hard compound tyres so far. So I guess we'll try and get him to about lap 60, and then we'll go for a set of softs. Oh, yellows. Who's had issues? Miata's had a slow stop. What's happened to Ritomo Miata then?
There's the reason for the hold-up.
Karun Chandok clearly sees something I don't. Not too sure what to make of that one. But yeah, we've had an incident for someone. Annoyingly, yeah, it was Miata as well, then going for a spin down at turn 1. But yeah, Lawson, we wanted, like I said, get him to about lap 60. Then we're going to dive him onto a set of softs. Actually, we can go now. We'll go now. We'll go mediums. Get him to the end nice and comfortably. Yep, Yuki's still happy with the tyres, which I guess is nice. And we'll try and go full attack mode there with Liam on this lap as well there. So let's just wait and see how he gets on. He is still battling with Sargent here, so we might get back to him by the end of the afternoon. And it also means, yeah, that Tsunoda can lap him with no problems and get in the way of Daniel Ricciardo as well, which is always quite nice. Just a little bit there to try and wind up Ricciardo. Just that little bit more as well then. Like I said, we need to get Lawson back into 19th by the end. So, Ricciardo into the pit lane. So, yeah, I think we are looking very, very comfortable for this P11 finish here right now. I mean, look how far Ricciardo's going to be back. Basically got a sector over him. We have really been, kind of the 6th best team this weekend yet again here. And like I said, with the laps counting down, though, annoyingly, doesn't look like we're really going to get anything to show for it either. We've got a 34-second lead over Danny Rick. And still no closer to the points. I mean, we haven't lost a lot in the second half of this race. This two-stop strategy has worked out really nicely for us. But it is still so frustrating when the cars in front don't seem to be running into issues. And the pace difference is still so much inside this game as well there. I mean, we may as well just go full attack with Liam. Not too worried about what happens to him. Maybe we can get up to Ritomo Miata by the end of the afternoon as well there. But yeah, Yuki Tsunoda has once again had a brilliant Grand Prix. And annoyingly, yeah, it doesn't really look like we're going to get much to show for it here, as the gap to Ricciardo is coming down towards the end, but certainly not by enough to really do anything here. As Gasly into the pit lane, Lawson continuing to carve that gap down. But yeah, his tyres are going to be wrecked by the end of the afternoon as well then, so not quite enough with Lawson to really make an impact here. But as the laps count down, we are getting to the end then of the Hungarian Grand Prix. Again, it's been another story of what if for us. Tyres, the pace has been really, really strong against our competitors, but unfortunately no issues for some of the faster cars as well then. So as we start the last lap then of the Grand Prix, Max Verstappen, I mean, once again, how many times have I said this recently? Verstappen has absolutely dominated in the last few Grand Prix, as Lawson's got a puncture. Love that for Liam. Where is he? Through the final couple of corners. I think he is going to get lapped again by... Oh, no, that's Hamilton. There's Verstappen. So I don't think it's going to make any difference for him there. As where is Lawson making his way through? Please don't lose another spot, though. I don't know where the next car is behind him. Hulkenberg there. I think we might just hang on with 3 wheels with Liam, which is rather impressive. As Verstappen will cross the line, he is going to take the win here at the Hungaroring. Liam Lawson, he comes through for P19 in the end. Tsunoda, 15... Well, he's actually going to end up being a lap up on Daniel Ricciardo by the end of the afternoon as well. So that should hopefully go and showcase the pace that the car has had today as well. They're through the final corners. A minute 12 behind Hamilton in front. He was lucky not to get lapped by him in the end. It is P11 for Yuki, P19 for Lawson. Another weekend where strengths are shown on one side of the garage, but the other side again continues to struggle.
Sometimes I think you just have to accept that it's not going to be your race.
Well, I think most people expected them to really deliver here, but it's a disappointing finish outside the points.
Well, Max Verstappen can add yet another podium to his already impressive record.
That's their 9th win of the season. I expect them to be showered with plaudits and more.
And as far as those three are concerned, well, they'll be leaving Budapest hungry for more. Well, Karun, how do you think they'll be feeling in the team garage at the end of that?
Well, it was a bit of a mixed bag here. Some things went their way, but others didn't. I think their main target now will be finding some consistency for sure.
And that then marks the end of our time here in Hungary.
Next time, the teams will be adding another year to the legend of Spa-Francorchamps. Anything can happen at the Belgian Grand Prix.
And there we go then. How many times have we said it? Max Verstappen, pole position, fastest lap, race victory. Absolutely dominant display there by the Dutchman. Annoyingly for me, yeah, those cars that I thought might struggle to carve their way through with Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, yeah, by lap 10, they were basically made their way through as you would expect, and pretty much ran where you would expect to see them throughout the rest of the race there. Disappointing for Perez, though, to go from 4th on the grid to finish behind Charles, who qualified P19. Certainly not the race result he would have wanted there. And -2 places for Yuki is heartbreaking. He was the only car to finish 2 laps down in that one, so that goes to show the divide between the big teams and the smaller ones at this stage inside this series as well there. Lawson, yeah, unfortunately, no rear tyre left on that car at the end, but he did finish still in P19, which will hopefully see us gain a little bit more prize money as well there. Verstappen, 26 points there. He's opened up a gap now to 62, ahead of Lando Norris there, who's still got Charles Leclerc a little bit further away, but it does really look like we're seeing the Dutchman now just stretching his legs at the front of the field there. A couple of points could have been really useful this weekend, but unfortunately it's not going to come our way in the end. And Lawson still has a perfect track record of seeing the checkered flag in races this season. Shame not a single one of them he scored a point. Still 7th as well in the Constructors' Championship there, as you can see. I mean, your big 5 teams, they basically just always score points in the order they're in at the moment. Ferrari even took 1 point out of McLaren this weekend, I guess. Which is something to write home about. Something that probably isn't got anything to write home about is going to be the DHL Fastest Pit Stop Award. Once again, not able to get anybody in that, as Red Bull will re-jump McLaren. We are still in P8, and again, we lose more points to Haas and kick Sauber behind there. And again, 2.7 second stops aren't anything to write home about. Thank you all so much for watching. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure to leave a like, get yourself subscribed, and we'll be back very soon when Formula 1 returns ready for the Belgian Grand Prix.